ICCC wants extension to SIM registration for rural areas. Electoral Commissioner confirms dates for LLG elections. And family of injured rugby player forgives attacker.
This is the National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, ICCC, is requesting that the deadline for SIM card registration be extended for the sake of people living in rural areas. ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain says the deadline was unfair on the rural population. Their findings suggest that the majority of unregistered SIM card users live in remote areas where travelling to town is already difficult for them.
The ICCC has taken a firm stand to protect the interests of people living in rural areas with regard to the stringent requirements imposed by NICTA for SIM card registration and deactivation of unregistered SIM cards. ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain said they were unfair on the rural population. According to ICCC findings, most mobile phone users in rural areas of PNG's 89 districts do not understand or have the mandatory requirements to register a SIM card.
We have a tedious process where it requires that poor little villager to have a NID identification card or a passport, copy of a license. Now all these things today, our rural and remote people do not have the benefit of having this form of identification.
ICCC findings also show that of the 1.4 million mobile phone users in the country, 80% live in remote areas. That's about 1.12 million who will be left unregistered. The ICCC has come down hard on network operators, B-Mobile, Telecom and Digicel for not taking more initiative to make registration accessible to rural communities.
You look at someone living at home, walking distance, getting to a nearby bus stop or a dinky or jetty, and to jump upon and then go to the nearest destination, and eventually getting to a town, in our view, will cost at least more than 200 kina.
The NICTA, being the regulator, went to the extent of going and speaking with, liaising with the churches in the rural areas to see if the people in the villages can come and actually register the SIMs through the churches. But NICTA has actually alluded to us that they have not seen that effort from the mobile operators.
The ICCC, in its legal capacity, has requested that the government reconsider its decision because it would only deny the rural community of the benefits that would come with mobile phone services. ICCC has asked for an extension of another 6 months.
We are, as consumer watchdog, we are mandated under the Section 6 and 7, 104, 105 of the ICCC Act to represent the consumers fairly and equally. The government, in its wisdom, has done a lot to have their SIM card registered, and we have no problem with it. And we are now sure that everybody in the urban centers and the cities and towns of Papua New Guinea may have been covered. But we are concerned that our rural and remote people need to be given a fair opportunity or another chance for them to have their SIM card registered.
Going forward, ICCC has suggested that network operators partner with NICTA and the Department of Information, Communication and Energy to deploy teams to all 89 districts and work alongside ward councillors to register their respective ward members, and to do away with requirements of basic identification that would be difficult for people in rural areas to access. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Simbu Governor Michael Dua signed a memorandum of agreement with EMTV today to re-establish coverage in his province. He says his decision to bring back EMTV coverage in the province stems from concerns that Simbu people have not had access to vital information broadcast on the news for too long. Simbu last had EMTV coverage in the province 5 years ago. Signing the MOU has now paved the way for EMTV to install repeater transmitters in Kundiawa. Both parties are yet to discuss further maintenance of the facilities.
MTV was there before other stations came on. So I think for the last 5 years, I think we missed out. So my government has this commitment to sign this MOU so that we bridge MTV back to Simbu. But basically we have to take it back because we are living in a changing world and people deserve all. If other people can be exposed to all the other good things, Simbus are not different. They have to have access to these things too. They also have to have access to all the information coming from around the world. Most times, they are not informed. They are lost because this kind of vital communication service is not there.
The actual annual cost will be based on the regular maintenance and the hiring of other facilities that we, both the government and MTV will be hiring. But like any other project, it will be one-off cost and then ongoing cost after that.
Papua New Guinea Electoral Commissioner Patilias Gamato has announced the dates for the 2018 local level government elections. Issue of writs will open on Thursday, the 30th of August, followed by nominations, polling, and then return of writs on Friday, the 2nd of November. Mr. Gamato also made it clear that there will be one election for both ward members and councillors.
Speaking today at the Electoral Commission headquarters, Commissioner Gamato says issue of writs will commence on Thursday, 30th August. He says it will take approximately 4 months before the writs are returned.
The dates, the following tentative dates are issue of writs will be on Thursday, 30th of August. Nomination closes on Thursday, 6th of September 2018. The polling will start on Saturday, 29th of September 2018. The polling ends on Saturday, 13th of October 2018. And the return of writs on or before Friday, 2nd of November 2018.
The breakdown of dates will see a nomination period of 7 days, 3 weeks of campaigning, 14 days of polling, and 21 days of counting. Commissioner Gamato says the 2018 LLG elections is crucial and the PNG EC is prepared.
All our preparation works are ready. We're just waiting for the government to increase funding, basically, for us to prepare the printing of the ballot papers, the materials that we have to disperse to provinces.
However, Mr. Gamato says provincial governments and district development authorities will play a key role in supporting the Commission to successfully carry out the LLG polls. He says the available resources will be put to use.
I think the important thing is for us to utilize the resources that are available to government agencies. DDs play a very important role in this whole exercise, so we would like to utilize their services and, of course, the resources that's available to them.
Meanwhile, Mr. Gamato urged the voting public to confirm the names with Electoral Commission officers who are currently carrying out a final cross-check of the common roll around the country.
We will use the 2017 roll, and basically our officials are out now conducting updating of the rolls, and so this exercise is going on, and so we hope to complete that exercise by end of June, and hopefully the rolls will be ready.
Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
Meanwhile, 100 million kin has been allocated for the 2018 LLG elections. Electoral Commissioner Patilias Gamato says this is budgeted for by the government. However, additional funding will be requested. He says the Electoral Commission will be accountable with strict spending throughout the country to avoid delays.
The 100 million is budgeted, and so the government has started releasing some funds, and so we will utilize those funds to do the initial preparatory work, like roll, print the ballot papers. But of course, election is coming up, so we will ask the government to provide more funding, up to 100 million kina, so that we conduct the elections.
The election petition case for Day Open in Western Highlands Province will go to trial starting next Monday. A decision was handed down yesterday afternoon by Justice Colin McKyle at the Mount Hagen National Court for the case to proceed to trial. 10 witnesses altogether will testify in front of a one-man bench.
Justice Colin McKyle yesterday handed down the decision on the submission by the first respondent Day Open MP Wesley Nukunj on objection to competency on the election petition case of errors and omission. Nukunj legal representative Paul Mawa, principal of Mawa Lawyers, filed the submission on Monday based on 3 grounds: that the petitioner James Pinney, who came 5th in the 2017 national election for Day Open, failed to plead facts, which is contrary to Section 208A of the Organic Law; the failure to file the petition within the 40 days limitation period; and failure to spell the correct name of the occupation of a witness. However, the National Court found that the petition was filed within the time, which was on the 5th of September 2017, the last day of the 40-day period since declaration. Justice McKyle struck out the facts pleaded on incompetency by the first respondent and said the National Court is satisfied that the result of the election was affected.
And I'm one of the petitioners where I strongly believe in the truth. The truth has to prevail, and whoever becomes the leader has to serve the people.
The case was adjourned to Monday next week for trial, but is subjected to further notice of the availability of Justice McKyle. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The family of Eli Pema Guinea, the rugby union player who was attacked on the field on Sunday, has forgiven the attacker. Speaking to EMTV, friend Guinea, the father of Eli Pema, said the family forgives those involved. He is currently nursing a broken bone on his forearm after he was attacked by Avosa Kaupa from the opposing team, who hit him with a pinch bar during a rugby match.
The Guineas are yet to come to terms with what transpired at the Bava Park on Sunday. The family had come together the night before to make a decision on what steps to take after learning that Eli Pema would need a plate in his arm. What's more traumatizing for the family is the video of the attack, which has been circulating on social media.
If Avosa and Pangatana are watching this, and as a God-fearing family, we forgive you and your families. We want you to know that there is no threat, there is no fear of any revenge, because we come from a peaceful background.
I was lost for words. I was asking myself, how did this happen for real and on a sporting field? Being a sports person myself and now an administrator, this kind of thing was unheard of.
From Eli Pema's recollection, Sunday's incident could have been avoided if the attacker, Avosa Kaupa of the Harlequins team, had been stopped.
It was about 10 minutes into the second half, and there was an incident between Avosa and one of my teammates, in which he picked him up and dumped him on his head. So in seeing this, I ran across and then I cleaned him out legally using my shoulders. And then something must have happened while he was falling off his feet, and then he must have bit his lip or tongue or something, and there was blood coming from his mouth.
While the family appreciates the quick response from the Capital Rugby Union, they are now left with a son who will not be able to play for at least 9 months.
Frequently, both of us were reprimanded for our indiscipline. I was given a red card, just basically in rugby, you're off for the game, and Avosa, the attacker, was given a yellow card. As we were walking off, he started shouting, calling, saying, bush knife waiting me outside. So I didn't take much of it. 10 minutes had passed since we were sent off, and then he approached our bench. And then as he was approaching me, I looked up and I said, something blow feel lose him inside. And he said, no, you back kissing blow yet. So he walked off the field, and then about 2 minutes later he returned wielding a crowbar or iron. Not sure how to describe the weapon.
His wife Leilani was thankful that Eli Pema is still alive, because if Eli Pema had not lifted his arm to defend himself, the pinch bar would have struck him on his head. They are thankful it did not come to that.
It's not something that I wish for any wife or a mother or child to go through. And I'm grateful and thankful that Eli is still around.
Elder sister Toka called on the perpetrator to take the incident as a turning point in his life.
Violence leaves no legacy. Forgiveness does.
Stacey Yalo, National MTV News.
And we'll have more on that story in Trukai Sports later on in the bulletin. The man who was arrested and charged for sexually abusing his sister-in-law in Leh has been committed to stand trial in the National Court. Robin Berezi will appear in the National Court next month. He was arrested by Leh Police earlier this year with rape, deprivation of liberty and 2 counts of unlawful wounding. You're with National MTV News. We'll go for a break now and be back with more of today's stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The World Bank launched 2 new reports today about enhancing the public health system efficiency and frontline service delivery in Papua New Guinea. The reports highlighted the limited resources available for the health sector and the gaps in health system functioning.
This morning, experts from the World Bank presented their findings to the audience, and it was apparent that Papua New Guinea's frontline service delivery needs to be improved. The O'Neill Abel government and the O'Neill Dion government before have continuously made the health sector a priority. In the 2018 budget, the sector was allocated 1.5 million kina, an increase of 14% from the 2017 supplementary budget. However, even with this commitment from the government, health outcomes have been poor and improvement slow. The report, Service Delivery by Health Facilities in PNG, reveals that the decline in coverage of essential health services and the high prevalence of communicable diseases like multi-drug resistant TB reveal important weaknesses in the health system.
I think the point that was made is that relative to its income level, PNG does not spend as much on health as certain other countries. So for instance, Solomon Islands, which might be a slightly lower income than Papua New Guinea, spends more on health per capita or as a share of GDP. So the point that was making was, even though PNG, the government, has committed more resources to health and is committed to improving coverage and so on, the level of public government investment in health is insufficient relative to its income level. The World Bank remains very committed to supporting the government in making sure that they can improve coverage, because the ultimate outcome of interest for all of us is better health outcomes for the people of Papua New Guinea. So we will continue to work with the government in helping them improve the way in which services are provided.
The reasons as to why the outcome has been poor varies, from a lack of trained health managers at health facilities to policies from Waigani being passed at a national level and not implemented at subnational levels. This will need to be remedied because while PNG has transitioned from low-income to low-middle-income status, donors who represent a significant source of funding to the health sector are reducing financial support to Papua New Guinea. Leanne Jarari, National MTV News.
More than 20,000 people in the Jimmy electorate will benefit from airfare subsidies. This morning, Jimmy MP presented a 250,000 kina to Mission Aviation Fellowship. This is the second subsidy presented to MAF to provide its service to this rural population.
The people of Guinea electorate will pay only 65 kina to travel on MAF planes to Mount Hagen. Chartered flights can carry their cargoes for free, but individuals traveling will have to pay the subsidized cost. Guinea MP Wakegoi said almost 3/4 of the population uses airplane as their mode of transport. However, due to the recent flooding in some parts of Guinea and North Wagi electorates, more than 3 bridges connecting the 2 electorates in Jiwaka province were washed away. This has forced the electorate to re-subsidize the airfare cost from 120 kina down to 65 kina to allow the locals to travel out to receive services.
I can include him startup law, all get the sets, only got some building materials, or some one people like him, charter can go in. Okay, health, he got something, drugs or one can go in, also all can use him this funds. Education one kind, only can use him this funds. Now Medifac can come out.
Goi said the total cost of the damage caused by natural disaster stands roughly at 3 million kina. He said while they are looking for ways to get the funding to maintain the road and infrastructure, he is depositing another 250,000 kina under the DSIP funds to MAF so that public servants, students and locals can be able to travel in and out of Guinea.
No fixing road na rapla, na fixing all some culverts na bridge na all this plan na rapla. Coast blow all culverts one time bridge that's all road. So road them na rapla coast blow and stuff.
Meanwhile, MAF representative Godfrey Sim said rural aviation services can reach people if only there is good state of airstrip, proper communication facilities and availability of planes.
Legal number 3 step, communication. Plenty hub. No got digital network or no got radio or wireless flow communication. Suppose you don't have talk long books place. You don't have sawe long. Plus palus emorado nogado. Hamas plaman by go camo. When conditions blow weather or when something.
Vasinata Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
Cooperative groups for cash crops in Morbe province has increased to over 200 this year. There are 19 cocoa cooperatives in the province and there are 3 major groups in Nawai district. Sigo Cocoa Cooperative in Situm is a new project that launched its nursery and rehabilitation project funded by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade at a cost of 76,000 kina.
Cocoa Cooperative in Situm in the Nawai district of Morbe is a newly established nursery and rehabilitation project. This cooperative has increased the number from 18 to 20 cocoa cooperative. It launched its project with equipment funded by the Australian government at a cost of 76,000 kina.
There are a lot more cooperatives that popped up for coffee, cocoa and some other cash crops and food crops. But the way assessment and how I see cooperative probably is the way forward.
Morbe currently has over 200 cooperative with 20 cocoa cooperative in the province. There are over 120,000 cocoa growers and more than 150 hectares of land is being used to plant cocoa in Morbe. Momasa's regional inspector for cocoa, Anton Ningi, says inspections show that cooperative become ineffective due to mismanagement.
The only failures in cooperative is the capacity to manage themselves, the governance issue. Is one, the accountability in looking after and managing the cooperative, as well as giving or delivering the benefit of the member who are part of the cooperative or the members of the cooperative.
Morbe's Provincial Department of Agriculture and Livestock will soon appoint a board to manage the Morbe Primary Producers Association in June. This board will help monitor the new and existing cooperative in the province. Sigo Cooperative was fortunate to be recognized as a registered cooperative in Morbe.
This district in Maskamausa, enterprise business district. People let him up in cacao Lugatimo let, no, I could buy him school fee, he go house sick, put him over, look at him slab now, some hab long road, looking back at Polian must work.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lay.
The East New Britain provincial government has made its intentions known that it wants to rejuvenate old cocoa and coconut plantations in the province. The new Masawa plantation in the Lasul Binding area is one of many in the province that the provincial government has chosen to rehabilitate. It's an attempt by the East New Britain provincial government to rebuild a subsistence economy driven by its people themselves.
2 years ago, the East New Britain Development Corporation, the business arm of the East New Britain provincial government, took over the new Masawa plantation. The plantation is one of the oldest in the province, established in the colonial days. It stretches for more than 2,000 hectares along the East New Britain northwest coast. The plantation was owned by various owners until the 1990s, when it was abandoned. Most of the infrastructures have now crumbled.
Where we are sitting now is basically Numusao plantation. It's a rundown plantation that the company owns. We've now decided to come back and revamp, restart the operations here.
The move has come at a time as the national government plans to revive run-down plantations all over the country. The government considered this as a long-term economic measure to help those living in the remote areas. The former Agriculture Minister, Tommy Tomskol, during his term in office, has on numerous occasions made the government's intention known that they are shifting their attention to the renewable sector as a way forward for the country.
And this is the sector that has underpinned the growth of this industry. You see that in coffee, you find it in cocoa, you find it in the coconut industry.
Since the 1990s, the new Masawa plantation, amongst others, has declined so much that it will take several years to rejuvenate them. The inception of the East New Britain Development Corporation as the new owner has given hope to over 500 households living in this remote part of East New Britain province in terms of providing employment, technical assistance for farmers and reducing transportation costs. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Goom Primary School in Medang Province is likely to send close to 900 students home this term if the second batch of TFF payments are not received. The school is still owed 27,000 kina from the fourth quarter TFF payments from last year. Head teacher Andrew Nakonga says the school has 3 outstanding payments with the Department of Education.
Goom Primary School, located on the outskirts of Medang town, is facing problems prompted by the delay of the tuition fee free. According to the school's headmaster, Andrew Nakonga, the Level 6 school will be sending its 896 students home if the TFF funding needed to run the school doesn't come on time. Mr. Nakonga says despite the first payment of about 27,000 kina has been made earlier this year, it is still not enough as it only covers the administrative component.
Infrastructure development, student learning materials. But because of the needs the students and the teachers need, we had to break up that money to cater for their needs. The teachers, the students need, and cater a little bit of infrastructure because of the insufficient funding from the government.
Like any other school around the country, Goom Primary School depended largely on the government's TFF payment as their only source of funding to run the school. Meanwhile, the school isn't charging parents with project fees to help sustain the school's operation.
No, we don't, because of the policy of TFF policy. The students, the parents have that mentality of the government funding the fees from the students. So to get the parents to pay that, it's very hard.
But the delay of the TFF funding doesn't only affect the school's administration. Its impacts are also spiraling down to teachers who are using their own money to buy learning materials for their students.
Resource books, for example, like textbooks, there is no enough textbooks for us to use to teach students, while the enrollment is too high for us, like 50 per teacher, 50 students per teacher. Not only the textbooks, but the other materials like science, mathematics instruments.
Head teacher Andrew Nakonga says another concern is The government should be paying the TFF into the schools according to the population of the students in each school. Mr. Nakonga says the education department should calculate the students and pay accordingly in order to sustain and maintain the school's operation for the whole year.
My concern is if the government is putting its policy on TFF policy, then they have to pay the policies according to the population of students we have. If we have 896, they should calculate according to the age of the students and pay it accordingly in order to maintain the schools.
Masa Luis, National EMTV News, Medang.
Here with National EMTV News, we go for a break now and back with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Member for Goilala and Deputy Leader of Pangu Party, William Sam, has been appointed Minister assisting the Prime Minister on Bougainville Affairs and Sports. Governor General Grand Chief Sebob Dadai accepted the Prime Minister's advice on the new minister's appointment. The appointment comes at a time when Pangu Party executives and the parliamentary wing have in-house issues.
The newly appointed Minister William Sam was ushered in with other members of the Pangu Party and their party leader Sam Basil. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and other ministers of state joined soon after. With official procedures done and a toast to the Queen, the Prime Minister first spoke congratulating Pangu on receiving another ministry and another voice in cabinet decision. Mr. O'Neill also said there is an expected cabinet reshuffle in the coming months.
We will be doing a small reshuffle so that we can be able to fit the talents and the experience of our cabinet ministers where they are due, but that is going to be done after the full consultation with the leaders of the coalition and our coalition partners.
Mr. O'Neill said while it was long awaited, it is timely with the vacancy of the Minister for Bougainville Affairs.
So we are pleased to say that a member for Goilala will assist me as Minister assisting the Prime Minister on affairs including Bougainville, affairs including sports, including all the constitutional offices that I look after under my ministry.
Minister Sam said he looked forward to working with the Prime Minister.
Your confidence in us by granting us another ministry is a sign of confidence and commitment we have as an alliance going forward to running the affairs of this country up till 2022.
This all comes at a time where Pangu is in the spotlight for in-house fights with the executive up against the parliamentary arm. Party leader Sam Basil says the party is intact and the ministry appointment showed the government's confidence in Pangu.
We are very happy to be part of the cabinet and of course part of the government caucus and part of the government in the government benches.
Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Bank South Pacific has presented 30,000 kina to the PNG Human Resources Institute Council as sponsorship towards the annual PNG HRI conference. This conference is an opportunity for all HR practitioners to share skills and knowledge to improve the management of people. BSP's Head of Talent Management, Betty Elliott, presented the funding, saying the leading bank in the South Pacific employs more than 4,000 employees and that they understand the challenges of managing human resource. The conference will feature topics on human resource profession as a catalyst in organizational development, performance, sustainability, and presentation of PNG organizations' best practice benchmark report and practices. Papua New Guinea and Sri Lanka stand to benefit more from closer trade relations in the coming years. This was highlighted by Sri Lanka's High Commissioner Designate to PNG, Sosasundaram Skandakuma, when presenting his credentials to Governor General Grand Chief Sebob Dadai this week. Government House was a hive of activity on Tuesday this week, with Sri Lanka's High Commissioner Designate to PNG, Sosasundaram Skandakumar, presenting his credentials to Governor General Sebob Dadai. When presenting his letter of credence, High Commissioner Skandakumar elaborated on the opportunities that exist for greater trade between both PNG and Sri Lanka. In particular, closer cooperation in the fields of agriculture, textiles, banking and finance, education and hospitality, areas which the PNG government has also identified as key growth priorities. These industries also acknowledged by Governor General Sebob Dadai. Sebob acknowledged the contribution of Sri Lankan nationals in PNG, particularly in the fields of banking and finance and education, over many years. According to Sebob, since formal diplomatic relations were formalized between both countries in 1992, there is still a need for greater cooperation across many growing industries in PNG. High Commissioner Susa Sundaram Skandakumar is also Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to Australia and concurrently accredited to Fiji, New Zealand and the Solomon Islands. This is National EMTV News. A promising rugby union player is now considering quitting the game after being attacked on the weekend. That story and more in Trukai Sports when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Rugby union player Elipe McKinney, who was attacked in last Sunday's match between Nova Union Club and Harlequins, is considering hanging up his boots after the attack, which has left him with a broken bone in his forearm. According to him, approximately 9 months will be needed to reach full recovery, effectively ending his season.
Yesterday afternoon, the president and the executives of Capital Rugby Union and club members of Harlequin and Nova gathered at Bava Park to review what transpired, and the reprimand slapped on the attacker by the Capital Rugby Union board.
Difficult situation that I believe both the CRU and also Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club have taken ownership and are being accountable for. And we're looking at ways forward to make sure that this incident never happens again.
President Chen described the incident as unfortunate and deeply disturbing.
Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club is extremely remorseful for what has happened, and we will liaise closely with Nova Rugby Football Union on the player's Elipema Kini's medical progress. And as a club, we will take on full responsibility for all medical costs involved in getting him back onto the field.
While Elipema and his family have forgiven Harlequin player Avosa Kaipu for the attack, the injury has seriously caused Elipema to consider his rugby career. Elipema is also a member of the PNG Pukpuks team.
Something I don't want the children to see, or anybody for that matter, mother or child, to see their son, almost losing their life over a game of rugby. So I'm seriously contemplating on actually not playing rugby anymore. Yeah. After what has happened, maybe going to coaching or helping juniors out there. But that can be a matter that I will visit later on this year, seeing how well my arm heals up. Yeah.
His family, who loves the code and has watched him grow in character and in the sport, was disappointed at the level of violence portrayed on the field.
For me, as Elipema's wife, we have 2 sons who adore their father, and they would like to be like their father as well in the field of rugby. Seeing what has happened, I would not want my sons to go through any of this.
The Kinis welcome the news of Harlequins Club meeting the medical course for Elipema and has also extended a plea to the Harlequins Premier Team coach as well.
To Anthony Pangatana and Avosa Kaipu, I forgive you because my family forgives you. We will let the authorities deal with you. And to Anthony Pangatana, words don't describe how you carried yourself as a senior official of Harlequins Glamour Club of PNG Rugby Union. Shame doesn't go even close to describing you.
One of the first aims of a coach is to lead by example. I can't say that you did that on Sunday. But there is hope.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV Sports.
Meanwhile, Capital Rugby Union has banned Avosa Kaipu from participating in any CRU-sanctioned events and from taking part in any overseas tournaments. The Harlequins Rugby Club has also been suspended from CRU until further notice.
The Capital Rugby Union Board has banned Avosa Kaipu for life and from playing in any CRU authorised events.
Avosa Kaipu of the Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club is banned for life to take part in or attend any CRU sanctioned competition and tournaments. The CRU shall escalate this verdict to the PNG Rugby Football Union to also include a ban from any form of rugby throughout PNG and overseas.
He says while the episode could have been avoided, similar penalties will apply to match officials. The Harlequins Rugby Club have been suspended from participating in any CRU sanctioned events until further notice.
The CRU clubs have referred the Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club to the CRU judiciary to deliberate on and impose the appropriate sanctions and penalties against the club. Upon the judiciary passing a verdict, we shall make a press statement and advise our stakeholders accordingly. In the meantime, prior to the judiciary convening, the Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club is suspended from taking further part in the CRU 15s-a-side competition until further notice.
Harlequins coach Billy Rapilla, who apologised on behalf of Avosa Kaipu, and the club described Avosa as a non-violent person.
We'd like to offer Eli Pema our sincerest apology in what happened, and we are very sorry for what's actually happened to him. It's not something we coach at the club. We hold the game very highly. It's something that as a club we've had a proud history of trying to maintain, and it's really sad that it's come to this. And we can only look at ourselves and start reinventing ourselves, and we hope that it teaches us a big lesson in how we handle situations off the park and also inciting this type of situation. So,
Harlequins Club President Joseph Chen, who was also remorseful of the incident, says the club will undergo proper training for its officials to ensure that such incidents are not repeated.
As a club, we'll be looking into programs and resources that are available to train our coaches and our managers to help identify emotional and social issues that our players may be facing, so that the coaches and managers can make informed decisions on players' state of mind before entering the field of play. We feel that this preventative measure may assist in ensuring that these type of occurrences are stopped before they even have a chance to begin. In conclusion, Harlequins Rugby Football Union Club is extremely remorseful for what has happened.
Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
We go for a break now and be back with more of Trukai Sports after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League now, Thompson Tete has returned to the SP PNG Hunters team after being called up from the PNG National Rugby League competition. He starts this weekend in the centres in the Hunters Round 10 clash against Wynnum Manly Seagulls.
Tete played with the Redcliffe Dolphins last year and returned to Papua New Guinea after the 2017 season. He then joined the Port Moresby Vipers in the PNG NRLC before he was brought back into the team by coach Michael Marum. Ase Boas has also been named to start at 5'8", with Willie Minoga and Enoch Maki to join Ase and Tete in the starting lineup. Dilbert Isaac gets to start at prop, with Ila Alu named to partner Nixon Poot in the second row. Charlie Simon, Julius Jacopa, William Mone, Brendan Gotuno and Patrick Moria have been named on the extended bench. Coach Marum will finalize the 18-man travelling team tomorrow. They travel to Brisbane on Friday, with the captain's run to be held on Saturday at 4 p.m. The match kicks off at 3 p.m. on Sunday at the BMD Calgary Oval in Brisbane. Elijah Levet, National, MTV Sports.
To cricket now, and the ICCC board has awarded international status for all T20 matches between members, along with plans to introduce global rankings in the format. The decision is for both men's and women's cricket, with the aim of using the T20 format to globalize the game. New minimum standards will be introduced, making it easy as possible for members to play international cricket in a sustainable and affordable way. The Barramundis and Lewis will be playing their first international T20s as the qualification pathway begins for the World T20. Rankings for women and men will be introduced in October this year and May next year, respectively. And that brings us to the end of Trukai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast now for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema and Popondetta can expect fine weather, becoming partly cloudy, mostly fine in Alota. To the Momasa region, Lae, Madang and Wewak will have fine weather, mostly fine as well for Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, some showers expected in Lorengau, fine with a shower or two later on for Kavieng, fine but partly cloudy for Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine for Kimbe and cloudy with showers developing later on for Buka. And to the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundia, Mendi and Wabeg, we can expect fine weather over the next 24 hours.
Details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a new sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 9th of May 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.